मतलब यार मेरी सारी समझ सेक्स की पॉर्न से क्यों आ रही है?
हमें 7 जन्मों का साथ नहीं चाहिए if you're not going to give me orgasms.
I've seen my parents behave with each other in a manner, and then I've seen Sahil and you behave in a manner which I was just like, ऐसे भी होता है क्या?
I'm actually a die-hard romantic.
Wow.
We are supposed to expect orgasms. We're supposed to expect pleasure no matter what porn tells us. You got married, you had 7 janmo ka saath, whether he was a drunk or abusive or whatever, you just stuck with it. No one's getting laid. Tu bata, why are we doing this? Why are you here? Hi, I'm Tara Kaushal, feminist counselor and author of Why Men Rape, an Indian undercover investigation, and the forthcoming book, Rape, Rage and Revolution, a feminist manifesto to change the world.
Hi, and this is Siddhaarth Aalambayan, the host of The Male Feminist, and today we are talking to you about a brand new podcast series called RelationShifft. This is the first episode where we talk about all things love, sex, relationships, and dating in India today.
Actually, Sid, tu bata, why are we doing this? Why are you here?
यार देखो, मेरा तो सिंपल है. मैं थोड़ा सा अपने आप को हमेशा से ओल्ड स्कूल बोलता रहा हूँ. I took my now wife, then girlfriend on a proper date. So old school romantic, that's the zone. I'm a 30-year-old married man who's dated his wife for 7 years in India. And, dealing with an understanding of what feminism is, what did we do wrong, how as men our ideas and conditioning has been, not in the right places all the time. I also seem to have what you call the Raja Beta syndrome, which I had to, unlearn and like kind of get out of my life and my understanding. But why are you thinking about the RelationShifft?
As I said, I really like how you've come to this from a completely sociological perspective. Ki abhi samajhna hai, what's happening in India. For me, it's pretty simple. As much as I write these serious feminist books, I'm actually a die-hard romantic. Like completely. I'm a huge proponent of love as a solution to interpersonal happiness and to collective happiness. And even I think it is the solution. It's a very, very important solution to the gender violence problem that I seem to make my life's work. And I've been in bad relationships and I've been in happy relationships. And I think it literally impacts the quality of your life. And I think healthy egalitarian love is a solution to gender violence and a whole heap of other social ills.
I'm sorry, I'm going to just interrupt there because I think आपकी बात एकदम सही है, लेकिन रिलेशनशिप थोड़ी सी कॉम्प्लेक्स होती है ना. एंड हमारे लिसनर्स या व्यूअर्स जो देख रहे हैं, प्लीज हमें कमेंट्स में बताना कि आपको क्यों लगता है कि रिलेशनशिप्स कॉम्प्लिकेटेड है. बट दैट्स व्हाट आई थिंक रिलेशनशिप्स हैव दिस लाइक कॉम्प्लेक्स वेब. एंड आजकल की जो टर्मिनोलॉजी है, मैं तो उससे काफी फ्लैबरगास्टेड हूं बिकॉज व्हाइल आई कुड जस्ट अंडरस्टैंड द टिंडर जनरेशन एंड द स्वाइपिंग लेफ्ट एंड राइट ऑफ थिंग्स, situationships and these new words hit me and I'm just like, wow, what are these people up to?
मतलब आज के relationships, are so complex, Sid, are so complex in India and the world over. Like on the one hand, we're still having child marriages. On the other hand, we're swiping left. And, and this is kind of impacting everything. You see it in the culture clash. You see it in the intergenerational clash. A couple of years ago, actually, this girl in UP got beaten to death for wearing jeans. And I'm just thinking, ki ye intergenerational clash, ye interpersonal clash, ye genders ke beech mein clash jo ho raha hai. Kyun ho raha hai? Because this young girl has been on Instagram, on Facebook. India mein TikTok hai nahi abhi. But she's been all over on the internet where she's seeing movie stars live their life, but also like people like you and I who are just slightly more aspirational to this village girl, but you're dealing with an environment. You're in a village, an Indian village. So these clashes are coming across in generations. They're coming across all over, but they're also in our bedroom. It's everywhere.
बट सही बोल रही हो आप, क्योंकि पॉप कल्चर जैसे हमारा ग्लोबल विलेज है ना, हम लोग तो इंस्टाग्राम पे एस्पिरेशनल जिंदगी को देखते रहते हैं एंड लाइक संवारते रहते हैं, एंड मोस्ट ऑफ द मेंस एक्सप्लोर आई हैव सीन और नोटिस्ड हैव अ लॉट ऑफ variously clad women in it. So there is also this global village and understanding that people are seeking from either their social media and the Bollywood or other kind of content from Hollywood or all kinds of woods that they consume, which are projecting relationships and how people should be. In fact, not so long ago was Ranjana, when there's a guy who chases the girl, gets slapped 25 times, and the 26th time gets the girl. And that is the idea of love and how to chase or get into a relationship for a lot of Indian men.
मतलब ये नाना करते प्यार तुम ही से कर बैठे बहुत पुराना जमाने का है, and we're still, there are so many Indias living in the same century, different centuries, different time zones, all at once. And in this kitsch pitch, I feel that relationships today are so complex. And the thing is, feminism is impacting all women, whether or not they choose to identify themselves as women. We are coming across, with the ideas that we have economic power. हमें 7 जन्मों का साथ नहीं चाहिए if you're not going to give me orgasms or be nice to me or do these things, right? But those are the paradigms that were true for centuries until like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
सही बात है ना, क्योंकि अगर आप देखो तो अलग अलग एज ग्रुप्स वाले हमारे आसपास भी एग्जिस्ट करते हैं. मतलब आई एम 30 एंड आई हैव बीन मैरिड नाउ 2 years 3 years, सॉरी. एंड इफ यू see, I have my basis of everything relationships from either my parents or my uncle and aunt or the family that we had around us, or friends like yourself and Sahil who have assisted, where I understood that, I've seen my parents behave with each other in a manner, and then I've seen Sahil and you behave in a manner which I was just like, ऐसे भी होता है क्या? एंड आई थिंक कहीं ना कहीं हम लोग वही कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि आप लोगों को तर्क रख सकें सारे तरीके के. फेमिनिज्म क्या है इसके बारे में भी टच अपॉन कर सकें. रिचुअल्स विच इन आवर मैरिज आर अ वेरी बिग पार्ट ऑफ आवर कॉन्वर्सेशन, उन पे बातें कर सकें. एंड आई थिंक काइंड ऑफ पील दीज लेयर्स टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट रिलेशनशिप्स ट्रूली मीन एंड should be or could be like in today's world.
I don't think, the thing is, what's happening, I think, is that men can't do what their fathers did and get away with it anymore. Like, you can't wake up and say, salt kam hai khane mein, and throw the plate and all. I've seen this shit happen. You can't say these things. You can't just expect to come, throw your shoes off, eat the food that the wife has made, don't ask her anything, expect a bit of sex, which is called marital rape, by the way, if she's not consenting. I think at least our audience already knows that. But anyway, you can't do what your father did and get away. And these things are really challenging men, women, and their relationships. And I have to say at the onset that for whatever reason, this podcast is largely heteronormative in its scope. So we're going to be talking about men and women. Having said that, it is because of the LGBTQIA movement that we are able to practice. It's one of the reasons we are able to practice all this free sex and love and other things that we take for granted. I had this friend who met this guy on Shaadi.com, and she was much more educated than him, earned a lot more. Anyway, they got married, went to the States, where he promptly was like, तुम मेरे लिए टिफिन नहीं बना रही, तुम्हारे मीटिंग्स out of the city क्यों हैं? And she's like, if you want to marry a village girl, go marry a village girl. Now, why are you marrying this educated, empowered woman and trying to make her this ghar ghusu woman? But I think there's a huge challenge with where we're coming from and where we're going and what is normal. And I think that's a big problem in today's relationships.
Sahi baat hai. There's two other things which come to my mind. One is that I had been on Tinder back in the day about 8 years ago, and I didn't realize that, this was casual sex, or what casual sex meant, or what it entailed, and what exclusivity while you're having casual sex meant. And when I saw Hickey that I hadn't given, I was just a little like, that wasn't me. And I got a little jealous. Maybe I got a little angsty. I don't know. But just that if somebody had told me that all of these things are, things that people can choose, and this girl will go around and have fun if she wants to have fun, and I don't really have a right or say on what she's doing unless we've spoken about it. So a lot of things are becoming clear to me by experience, but they shouldn't be for everybody who's listening or watching this. And in changing times, I think it's imperative कि सब लोग अपने आप को थोड़ा better aware करें, अनलर्न करें उनकी हार्ड कंडीशनिंग, जैसे आपने बोला। वैसा ये केस ये था कि somebody told me, bro मैं भी मेल फेमिनिस्ट, and I said अच्छा कैसे? He's like, bro I allow my wife to work, and I said भाई उधर ही तो गलती है, अलाउ कर रहे हो का क्या मतलब होता है?
हाँ, मतलब ये allow का मतलब possession is the base of that foundation, right?
And that's
But just like various examples. There's this really cool artist guy, and he was having all these relationships outside his marriage. She wasn't. I found him very cool. And my ex-boyfriend, my boyfriend at that time, was like, he did not particularly like how much I like this artist guy. And he was like, just because he gives a really cool spin on it, it's nothing more than a man having affairs on his wife and cheating on his wife, जो आदमी सदियों से करते आ रहे हैं. Just because he's put a cool spin on it, you're all like, this is cool. And I thought about that, and I think about that often, that, what we normalize, what was okay for the man, what is not okay for the woman, what are these things? These are things that we need to consider. But Sid, tell me, how was your experience on Tinder?
हाँ एग्जैक्टली मतलब आप सोचो, मैं टिंडर पे जब हुआ करता था, कितना तो यार ये लेफ्ट स्वाइप राइट स्वाइप फेस वैल्यू सिस्टम है। मतलब आप किसी को कैसे परख रहे हो, हाउ विल यू इवन स्टार्ट समथिंग रोमांटिक अगर आप इतना फेस वैल्यू जजमेंट रख रहे हो। और एनी हाउ देन इवेंचुअलिटी में आई रियलाइज्ड that it is way more than that, and it's not just about what you see and these first face value infatuations or whatever. And it's very good that dating apps now allow the other side to message first or the other way around, but उस तरफ से भी तो face value judgment हो रही है काफी, and that is why we need to have this conversation also. You realize as a married person, or as somebody who's been in a relationship for a very long time with a partner of theirs, that sex evolves. You discover each other much better. The whole lovemaking process is very, very deeper, and it is way different at a much later stage. And that changes your understanding of getting laid. And in the whole, like, going back a little to the Tinder one, because hain bahut sare yaar baggage uske. I remember friends, a very good actor friend who used to swipe right left all the time and get laid all the time, but he felt shallow. He felt really shallow after a while, and he never really understood why he was first doing it. Maybe because सब जो मर्दों के बीच में बात हो रही होती थी ये ट्रोफिफिकेशन की या नंबर्स की, वो बड़ी क्लाउड करती है जजमेंट को और रियलिटी को, एंड देन यू ऑल्सो स्टार्ट फीलिंग शैलो. बट it is important we understand that what we want, what romance means for all of us, and do things which are slightly more evolved. And then there is, of course, the teachings of the male feminist, and learning that how men think because they have the authority, because वो आदमी है वो कई सारी चीजें कर सकते हैं, but वो गलत है. इसलिए I think feminism is an answer to a lot of things, but a lot of that will be explored throughout what you're going to be talking about. I, in fact, was one of those guys who actually asked her, "Can I kiss you?" And she said, "Sure." And I thought that, I was one of the first people who would probably be doing this until I saw it in a movie in 2023. And I said, shit, finally movies में भी ये दिखाया जा रहा है, ऐसे किरदारों को दिखाया जा रहा है जो कंसेंट लेते हैं, ताकि लोग ये समझ पाएं कि a no is a no and a yes is a yes. So random digression.
But Sid, 8 minute. I think what's happening is that there's a huge problem in the terms of engagement, and I'll tell you why. And when I say terms of engagement, and we were talking about the culture clash, and I talk about terms of engagement again. When I say that, I know that there are women, and I have friends who are like, "Oh, it's not romantic when he asks." Like, I don't like it when someone asks to kiss me. I just want it to be like in the moment. And then we were also taught that, you have to say no. Good girls say no. But right now we're talking about yes means yes and affirmative consent. So
एंड इन द मोमेंट है तो कर लेने का कैसे समझेगा भाई इन द मोमेंट क्या, और कैसे पता चलेगा कि वो हाँ भी कर रही थी कि उसके लिए या नहीं है, कोई भी हाँ कर रहा था कि नहीं उसके लिए.
but all of these ideas of, our individuality and romance. See, romance was not a big consideration in people's lives, at least in a marriage. It wasn't. You got married, you had Saat Janamo ka Saath, whether he was a drunk or abusive or whatever, you just stuck with it. And, you were there. But these romance is now a big part of our lives. It's a big part of our relationships. And we don't know how to negotiate this because our parents didn't do it. I mean, mine did. I come from many generations of love marriages for some on both sides of my family. But that was it's not the norm, not in India for sure. These were questions that, when I was a wild girl at the turn of the century. You were supposed to wait for 3 dates before you kiss someone and all of that nonsense. And I was not waiting for 3 dates or anything even then, not kissing nor anything. But 20 years later, and this is when I was like 17, 18, 20, but 20 years later, I'm 40 now, the world has changed dramatically. And I watch in my counseling practice and in the books I write and with the girls I speak to, I watch so much conflict and confusion every day. And I think this is something we need to engage with because, what's happening is we have so much work that has gone into making empowered women. But no one has prepared the men for these empowered women that are now part of their lives.
मतलब यार मेरी सारी समझ सेक्स की पॉर्न से क्यों आ रही है, which should be another episode of its own kind, I think.
It will be, Sid. It will be many episodes. We will talk about porn a lot.
Yeah, Tara, TMI for everybody who's listening, but boss, I wasn't comfortable removing clothes in front of somebody because I thought this body type is not affable or liked or will be liked, because in porn you're supposed to be certain size and weight, etc. Last X time. And while that is going to be in another episode, basically I've been doing a lot of these male feminist interviews and realizing that female pleasure के बारे में वैसे ही काफी बात नहीं होती है. तो अगर आप लोगों से ये सवाल पूछा जाए जो सुन रहे हैं देख रहे हैं कि क्या आप लोगों को पता है where the clitoris is, and have you spoken about just pleasure and what makes the other person happy and then found out that may be bettering your sex lives? Like, I don't know. यही सब बातें हम करने वाले हैं शो पे बेसिकली.
हाँ, but देखो यही हो रहा है ना कि now women know that we are supposed to expect orgasms. We're supposed to expect pleasure no matter what porn tells us. And then men are learning all their sex things from porn, all their sex knowledge, where everything ends at the male moment. And
exactly. And that's a problem. Why? Like all porn videos I've seen end with the man coming, and I'm just like, uske bare mein kya?
Yeah. So I think a lot of we were asking the question why we're starting this. I think it's pretty obvious that there's a lot to talk about in India and the world over on how to create better relationships, what's happening. I just watched Barbie, right? Barbie the movie, and spoilers for those who haven't watched it yet, but it's a pretty fascinating movie that does dwell on this clash and the cause of patriarchy and the fact that men are not finding their way either. It's not only the women who feel that they are not stereotypical and they have different expectations and they have these rights and roles, but men are also like, acha, hum provider the papa ki tarah, but now you also expect me to listen to your feelings and cater to your pleasure. And these are different roles for men to engage with.
So evolving time पे evolve होना जरूरी है सब लोगों का.
हाँ, और इस सब खिच पिच में Sid, problem is that no one's getting laid.
भारी सच. Dropping truth bombs like a boss. Yeah, and that we may be able to get you laid also. I don't know. Are we saying something there? I don't know. But yeah, what should you want? What kind of questions you all may have should be dropped in the comments below. Yeah, I think links to both of our works are in the comment description as well. You can listen to this podcast on all your favorite podcasting apps, or just watch it on YouTube or Spotify also. Tara, any parting words before we promise them an episode every 15 days?
Well, you're going to really have better relationships if you listen to all our gyan. Sid and I come with many years of experience and many years of friendship. And so, see you next time.
Don't forget
Bye.
to comment and subscribe. Bye.